Hello everyone, my name is John Sierra and I'm a Tolkien scholar, and this is another one of those videos where I take a Tolkien quiz from YouTube and take it and just sort of grade it to see, is it correct? Are the answers well formed? Is it reasonably challenging? Does it stick to only the books or only the movies, or is it mixing things up? Is it going to be confusing? I was actually going to do a different quiz, and I wound up not doing that one because there was so much green, and then the green on the screen was reflecting in my face, and then it was making me invisible. So I was like, we can't do that one. Now this one says there's 30 questions, and that is very difficult, and the name of the channel here is Big Quiz TV, and this was put up 10 months ago. So let's see. They say it's very difficult. Let's see. Hopefully it's not things like how many extras were in a scene in the movie sort of thing.
We're going to be looking at Lord of the Rings today.
The Lord of the Rings.
So let's get started.
This is not an AI voice, it's an actual person.
So round one is going to be on first film, Fellowship of the Ring.
Okay, so this is film specific.
Towers.
What can you do?
On Return of the King. Now, because
I could talk about differences and stuff. I haven't looked at this before I started.
But please do try and push through and see what score you can get. You might surprise yourself.
I want to see what score you get.
Questions on each round, and you'll have 10 seconds to answer each question.
So,
The answer is
30 questions total, of course. All right. So,
let's go straight into round one, Fellowship of the Ring.
The Fellowship of the Ring.
Question number one. What is the name of Bilbo's book that he's writing in the Shire?
So, we know it as The Hobbit. What he called it was There and Back Again, A Hobbit's Tale. And it wound up being part of a greater work called The Red Book of Westmarch. But I'm sure they're looking for There and Back Again, A Hobbit's Tale.
Riz?
Oh, I think... Oh, here.
A Hobbit's
Yep,
Tale.
yep, there we go. It actually shows the screenshot.
Question two. What is the name of the elven city where the Fellowship is formed?
I wouldn't really call Rivendell a city. It's a country in its own way. It's a realm is really the word for it. But yeah, Rivendell or Imladris is the Elvish way of saying it. That's the actual answer there.
And the answer is Rivendell.
Yeah.
Question three. Who is the leader of the elves in Lothlorien?
Well, there are two leaders. There is a lord and there is a lady. The lord's name is Celeborn, and the lady's name is Galadriel. I think it's generally accepted by the fandom that Galadriel is more of the one in charge, and Celeborn is sort of her arm candy. But there you go. Let's see.
And the answer is Galadriel.
Yeah, she's one of the leaders in Lothlorien, though.
Question four. What gift does Galadriel give Frodo in Lothlorien?
I mean, you can actually see it there, though. Like, you could see the file of Galadriel there. So it's she referred to it as the light of our brightest star, Eärendil. Eärendil is actually the name of Elrond's father, who is in a magic ship flying through the skies. The ship is made out of mithril, and he's got one of the Silmarils. And the Silmarils contain the intermingled light of the two trees of Valinor, which were destroyed by Morgoth in the First Age. And so this is the only light left from those trees, are in the three Silmarils. Two of the Silmarils are lost. One is in the sea, the other is buried deep underground. And that region where it's buried underground is also probably underwater as well, so that one's really, really lost. But the third one is in the air, and it's with Eärendil, Elrond's father. So we generally refer to this object as the phial of Galadriel, because it is a phial, and Galadriel gave it to Frodo. It contains water from her basin, which is known as the Mirror of Galadriel, as well as the reflected light of Eärendil, sort of making it sort of a pseudo-Silmaril in a sort of way, which is something that Samwise pointed out in the book version, at least, of the Two Towers. So it's either going to say Phial of Galadriel, or it's going to say Light of Eärendil, which is what she said in the movie. Probably Phial of Galadriel.
Light of Eärendil.
So, oh, actually, they went with the literal thing that she said in the movie. She says Erendil, which is sort of the way that Kate Blanchett pronounced it. It would be Erendil. You do want to put the emphasis on the second to last syllable of any Elvish word, so it's Erendil. But it's Ia, not Erendil. It's not ear. That little 2 dots above the E is saying that this vowel is its own syllable. So it's Erendil. So they got a lot of the dialogue pretty correct in the films, and I can't really fault Kate Blanchett for saying Erendil because she was probably told to say Erendil, but it's really Erendil. And I'm putting too much emphasis on that because I'm showing that it's a second syllable, but it's Erendil. It's hard to know the difference, I guess.
Through the mines of Moria.
Gollum. Well, actually, it's interesting because Gollum was following them, but he wasn't really chasing them, and you can see the Balrog is there. I'm being funny here. Gollum was following them much earlier than the Balrog, but the Balrog, or Durin's Bane, was the one that was actively chasing them. So, and you can see that it's the Balrog there. But first thing I thought, oh, Gollum, Oh, I have fun sometimes. Yeah, the Balrog.
Question
Okay.
6. What is the name of the bridge in Moria where Gandalf confronts the Balrog?
So as far as we know, the bridge doesn't actually have a name, or if it does have a name, no point in the book or in the film did they stop to tell us the name. However, it's usually referred to as the Bridge of Khazad-dûm because that's the name of the chapter in the book, and the name of, I guess, the chapter on the DVD or Blu-ray that you're watching, in which Gandalf faces off against Durin's Bane, the Balrog. Like I said, it's not really a name, just like Shelob is not really a name. It's just a word that means Lady Spider. But we generally do call it the Bridge of Khazad-dûm, which Khazad-dûm, it just means, the dwelling of the dwarves, the dwarvish mansion. It's their word for Moria. Moria is what the elves call it. So basically, I'm sure it's not the only bridge in all of Khazad-dûm, but that's what it is referred to as in the book. Let's see.
And the answer is the Bridge of Khazad-dûm. Question 7. Which member of the Fellowship tries to take the ring from Frodo?
Of course, that was Boromir. The scene that they're showing is actually where he just sort of picks it up at Carathras. He didn't, where he did actually take it, but then Aragorn told him to give it back. It's not a scene from the book, but I enjoyed it. And you can see that it's Boromir. I think it's a little too easy. This is, it says very difficult. I don't know how this is very difficult when they just sort of slightly blur the answer.
7. What is the name of the sword that Frodo inherits from Bilbo?
Inherit is a strong word here. I wouldn't say that it's correct. The sword's name is Sting. Bilbo found Sting in a troll horde in the book The Hobbit. It didn't have a name at this point. None of the swords that they found did they know anything about. When they brought the swords to Rivendell, Elrond said that the sword that Gandalf was carrying was a very old, very important sword called Glamdring, and the one that Thorin had was a very old, very important sword called Orcrist, and these were special swords from an old elvish civilization called Gondolin. As a matter of fact, Orcrist was specifically said to be King Turgon's sword, the king of Gondolin. Glamdring was its mate, meaning that it may have also belonged to Turgon, although it may have also belonged to another very high-ranking elf. A lot of the fandom chooses to believe that it was Ecthelion's sword, which could be true, but Tolkien was not specific about it. Sting is just a dagger that they found that is from Gondolin and does have sort of the same properties, but it didn't have a name. Bilbo called it Sting after he used it to kill spiders in Mirkwood Forest. And they referred to the invisible creature that was stabbing them as something that has a sting. So that's why he called it that. Anyway, the reason I talk about inheritance being sort of a strong word is that Bilbo said at his 111th or 111st birthday party that it was also Frodo's birthday. And Frodo was turning 33, which is the year that hobbits are considered adults, so he's coming of age and also coming into his inheritance, because Bilbo is leaving the Shire and he's leaving everything to Frodo, which included the Bag End and all of his money and all the things in there. However, he did not leave the sword Sting to him, nor did he leave the Mithril Mail with him. Now, the Mithril Mail was actually at a museum in a place called Delving, which is actually the capital of the Shire, but Bilbo took it back, it was on loan. He took it back from the museum before he left, and he actually brought them with him to Rivendell, so he had some adventures, but he wound up in Rivendell, and that's sort of where he retired. And it wasn't until Frodo came to Rivendell that he gave him the sword and the mail, because Frodo's sword had been broken, and he had gotten stabbed. So I would say that it was a gift from Bilbo, but not necessarily part of his inheritance. I would just say, what is the name of the sword that Frodo receives from Bilbo? It was Sting.
Question 8.
No, I didn't.
Sting.
Yeah, there it is. Sting. Okay.
Question 8. What is the name of the pub in which Frodo is set to meet Gandalf?
That's the Prancing Pony in Bree. Too easy. I thought this was very difficult. I might have been clickbaited.
And the answer is the Prancing Pony. Question 9. What is the name of the leader of Rivendell, father of Arwen?
It's Elrond, of course. He is the Lord of Imladris or Rivendell. They don't have a king, they have a lord. Because they had a king, Gil-galad, and he died.
And the answer is Elrond. Question 10. How many members of the Fellowship are presumed to be alive by the end of the first film?
Oh, I like the way that there's so much emphasis on presumed, and the end of the first film, not the end of the first movie. Because if we were to say how many were presumed, not the end of the first book, I should say, how many of the Fellowship are presumed to be alive at the end of the first book, the answer would be 8, because we would presume that all of them but Gandalf are alive, because Boromir doesn't actually die until the Two Towers, but in the film they had Boromir die as part of the end of the Fellowship of the Ring, and of course they presume at this point that Gandalf is dead. Of course he has already been resurrected at this point. So the answer, I suppose, would be 7. Let's see what they say.
And the answer is 7.
Yep.
Because they think that Gandalf is dead and Boromir actually is dead. Okay, so if you're not happy
All right,
with how you
Two
did that
Towers.
round, there is still time to claw back some points in round 2, the Two Towers.
I can't imagine anybody who saw the films not getting all of these right.
Question 1. What is the name of the swamp that Frodo, Sam,
Okay, this is a little...
traveled
All right, this is a little bit better. This is the Dead Marshes, by the way. That's what it's called, the Dead Marshes.
And the answer is the Dead Marshes.
Great scene in the film, by the way they did that.
Question 2. Who is the king of Rohan?
The King of Rohan. So, I talked about this in a previous video where it was a multiple choice, and they asked who is the King of Rohan. And, of course, Theoden was the answer they were looking for, but Éomer was also there. And I said, well, Theoden dies and Éomer becomes king, so it's sort of unfair because there's 2 correct answers. But here, since you can see Theoden there all blurred out, and also because this is specific to the film version of the Two Towers, Éomer doesn't become the king until the Return of the King. So, definitely Theoden here. Theoden, son of Thengel, Lord of the Mark, Theoden king.
Question 3. Which character is sent as an agent of Saruman to curse Theoden?
Of course, we're talking about Grima Wormtongue. He doesn't actually curse him. It seemed like in the movie that Saruman himself was cursing him. In the book, it was more like Grima was actually sort of gaslighting him, and there was no magic involved.
Question 4. Who rescues Merry and Pippin from the Uruk-hai?
The Uruk-hai, not the Uruk-hai. Who rescues Merry and Pippin from the Uruk-hai? They sort of rescued themselves. They sort of escaped on their own. Of course, the orcs were sort of in a tizzy because they were being attacked by a group of Rohirrim, which was led by Éomer. But of course, Éomer didn't know that there were any hobbits there. He didn't really rescue them. He didn't know about them. Later, when he was asked about hobbits, of course, he doesn't know what a hobbit is. He says, hey, we left nobody alive. We burnt the bodies. And of course, they despair. Viggo kicks the helmet and breaks his foot. We all know the story. But I'm guessing they're going to say that Éomer is the answer here, even though he didn't really rescue them. They sort of rescued themselves.
It was the Riders of Rohan, or Éomer's company. They kind of do this unknowingly. They don't really see them.
Okay.
But they do kill.
She does acknowledge.
Allowing them to escape.
She does acknowledge that it was unwittingly. Okay.
Which Ent leads the march against Isengard?
The only Ent in the movie to have a name. That's Treebeard. I mean, there were other Ents in the book that had names, like Beachbone, for example, and Quickbeam. But in the movie, they only said one Ent's name, which was Treebeard. Fangorn.
Question 6. What is the name of the fortress where Saruman resides?
So the fortress is known as Isengard, but the tower in the center is known as Orthanc. So it could go either way here. He lives in Orthanc, but the fortress is the whole thing.
Orthanc.
Yeah, Orthanc's just the tower. The fortress, which is more than just one tower, is referred to as Isengard.
Kingdom in the northwestern White Mountains of Middle-earth, in which the final battle takes place.
Wait a minute, what? The name of the kingdom in the northwestern White Mountains of Middle-earth, which the final battle takes place? What are they talking about? The northwest of Middle-earth? The northwest of Middle-earth is the Shire and Lindon. Are they referring to the final battle of the book, the Battle of Bywater, which is the Shire? Which is not a kingdom? The northwestern White Mountains. They're talking about just the two towers, though, right? The two towers. The final battle was the Battle of Helm's Deep, which is in Rohan, but there is no way to say that Rohan, which is part of the Southlands, is the northwestern White Mountains of Middle-earth. That's crazy talk. It's northwest of Gondor. It's north of Gondor. It's northwest of Minas Tirith. This one's wild. They're crazy for this one. What are they saying?
And the answer is Helm's Deep.
Okay, so Helm's Deep is not... Wow. Helm's Deep is not a kingdom. Helm's Deep is the name of a region, which was also known as the Deeping Coombe, where there was a fortress which used to be known as the Arberg. Now it's called the Hornburg because Helm blew his horn there, and then it became known as Helm's Deep because that's where Helm defended against that. This northwest bit and the White Mountains bit is all a bunch of nonsense. The northwest of Middle-earth, As far as the whole book takes place in the northwest of Middle-earth if we think about it. But as far as the region that the Lord of the Rings takes place in, this is really the south, not the northwest. And Helm's Deep is certainly not a kingdom. It is a region where there is a fortress. The kingdom is called Rohan. Oh dear. Oh, there we're going all right. What is happening here?
Merry and Pippin meet the Ents.
That's Fangorn Forest. Named after Fangorn, also known as Treebeard.
And the answer is Fangorn Forest.
Mm-hmm.
Question 8. What is the name of the character who captures Frodo, Sam, and Gollum in Ithilien?
It's Ithilien, not Ithilien. That's Faramir, although it happened differently in the book, obviously. Well, he does eventually capture Gollum, but he doesn't really capture Frodo and Sam. Frodo and Sam just sort of go with him for a while. They really did Faramir quite dirty in the movies, I think.
Question 9. What animal does Sam point out to Frodo in Ithilien, saying, that no one at home will believe this.
So referring to the mumak that he saw, which is a large animal from the south, Harad, and Sam knew it as an oliphant, based on a poem that he had heard.
And the animal is Oliphants.
Yeah. Now there was only one, so it'd be an oliphant or a mumak.
Question 10. In the Battle of Helm's Deep, who tosses Gimli onto the bridge?
Yeah, that was Aragorn. He tossed me. It was a callback to, at the bridge of Khazad-dûm, when Aragorn was going to throw Gimli across, and he said, no one tosses a dwarf, and he made the jump himself, and then he asks to be tossed here. But don't tell the elf.
It was Aragorn. Okay, so that's the end of round 2.
All right.
Let's get straight into our
They
final
really biffed it in round 2. Let's see how they do for the return of the king.
Question 1. What is the name of the giant spider that attacks Frodo and Sam?
The spider doesn't actually have a name. She's usually called Shelob, which means lady spider. She, lady. Lob is sort of an archaic word for spider. Just like her mother was called Ungoliant, which is not really a name. It's just something that the elves called her, which means Gloomweaver.
Question 2. What is the name of the volcano in which the ring must be destroyed?
So many names. Red Mountain, Mount Doom, Orodrin, Amon Amarth. They're probably going to go with Mount Doom. It's the most common name to call it.
And the answer?
You seem to be going a little bit quicker. I haven't skipped ahead as much.
Question 3. What does Aragorn say when he charges into battle at the Black Gate?
It was for Frodo. For Frodo. Great
Every
scene.
time he says, for Frodo.
Wait, hold on. What does she say there?
Bit that gets me every time he says, for Frodo.
Yeah.
What colour is the tree that stands in the courtyard of Minas Tirith?
Minas Tirith. That is the white tree of Gondor. Shockingly, it's white. I was from a seedling brought from Numenor
The answer
by Isildur.
is white.
Yeah.
Question 5. Who is Aragorn's ancestor, making him the rightful king of Gondor?
You could see that it's Isildur, and what's interesting is that this is actually incorrect. This is something that Peter Jackson got very wrong. Isildur is Aragorn's ancestor. However, that doesn't make him the rightful king of Gondor. That makes him the rightful king of Arnor, which is the North Kingdom. To be the rightful king of Gondor, he would have to be the heir of Anarion. And they only sort of mention Anarion in passing at one point when I believe Denethor refers to the House of Anarion. They even replaced him at the Argonath, which were the two grand statues at the falls of Rauros there. It was supposed to be Isildur and his brother Anarion. They changed it to Isildur and his father Elendil. The real answer here should be either Elendil or Anarion, but of course Aragorn is actually descended from both Isildur and Anarion, and you wonder, well, they're brothers, so how could he be descended from them both? Because somewhere far down the line, one of the heirs of Isildur, which was a man named Arvedui, married a Gondorian princess named Firiel, who was, of course, an heir of Anarion, and yes, they're very, very distant cousins, not many times removed, but they're probably like 8th or 9th cousins, very far apart. But sort of like, how technically speaking Aragorn and Arwen are. They're actually first cousins, but about 60 times removed, generationally. But, I know it's going to be Isildur. You can see Isildur's face there. It's not really correct, but we're going by the movie, so.
And the answer is Isildur. Question 6. What city is under siege during the Battle of Pelennor Fields?
Of course, Minas Tirith. If you don't get this, I don't know what to tell you.
The answer? Minas Tirith.
Minas Tirith.
Question 7. Who is the steward of Gondor?
At what point in the story, it doesn't matter, we can see Denethor's face. Faramir, of course, is the last ruling steward of Gondor. He's ruling steward for just a little tiny bit, but then he becomes the regular steward, not the ruling steward, but the regular steward of Gondor, as well as the Prince of Ithilien.
Who kills the Witch King of Angmar during the Battle of Pelennor Fields?
Well, it was really two people. It was Merry and Eowyn, but Eowyn was the one that got in the killing blow there. She couldn't have done it without Merry, and of course, if Eowyn wasn't there, Merry would have died, and vice versa. It had to be the two of them together. Oh, look at that!
So Mary kind of like stabs him in the back.
There
of
we
the
go.
head, and Eowyn stabs him through.
They got it. All right. I'm happy
Just
now.
Eowyn
I'm very happy now. Look at that. I did expect them to get that so right, especially when there was one that they got so wrong.
Song does Pippin sing for Denethor in Minas Tirith?
Okay, so I don't know the name of the song. It was made specifically for the movie, and as a matter of fact, the actor that played Pippin came up with the lyrics and everything himself, which was really cool. I don't know the name of it though. The Edge of Night. Okay, really cool song. Really like that scene, but
Question 9.
I didn't know that it had a name.
Finally destroys the One Ring.
Gollum destroys the One Ring. I won't hear anything otherwise. It was Gollum. If they say Frodo,
Unwittingly and despite his best
yeah,
efforts,
it was Gollum.
it was Gollum.
See, if they say Frodo, someone's gonna catch it hot, as Samwise would say.
Question 10. Who speaks the last line in Return of the King?
It's Sam. Whether it's the book or the movie, it's Sam. Sam has the final line. They got that absolutely correct in the film. Because it was his story at the end, at the very end.
Samwise Gamgee.
Yep.
He says something like, "Well, I'm back," or "Well, I'm home," to his wife.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's the end of our Lord of the Rings quiz. Very nerdy, I know, but hopefully you're happy with your score. Comment your score a level below.
Why is the lowest called Hobbit of the Shire? The Hobbits are great. I'm gonna give this one a B. It certainly doesn't live up to being very difficult. I think that's just a little bit of clickbait to get you to click on it. Certainly this is, and this is movie specific. The only one that was, really difficult was the name of the song that Pippin sang. I suppose that's something that you would have to, find out from buying the soundtrack or watching, all of the DVD commentaries or something. But there were a few little minor errors, and one, I would say, major error with Helm's Deep. That's just wrong. Everything about that question was confusing and wrong. But other than that, getting 29 questions that are pretty good and just one that's really, really bad, I think we can give them a B. I would say it might have been a B plus if they didn't try to clickbait me with very difficult. So if there's a quiz that you think I should take, and keep in mind, it doesn't necessarily have to be on YouTube. That's sort of the most fun way to do it. But if you find any sort of quiz about either The Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or Tolkien in general, and you want to send it to me and see what I think of it, absolutely send it to me. I would be very interested to see those. And thank you. Like, comment, and share the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Consider joining if you want to support me in a greater way. I'll see you guys next time.